Open your fridge right now. You'll find probably a soda, some leftover food, maybe a fruit that was grown in another country or all together. You look at it and don't think nothing about it, but your ancestors wouldn't know a single thing in that refrigerator as food. Nothing at all. There is a common belief that ancient humans simply consumed a more primitive version of the foods we eat today. Meat, fruit, vegetables, maybe some nuts. A diet that is tough but doable. That is the natural supposition. That's not quite right. What they actually ate would really make you sick. Not because they were primitive or strange, but because the things they wanted, the things their bodies needed so badly, are still running in you right now. Every craving you have at 11 p.m. when you open the fridge and you're not even hungry. Every time you keep eating something you know you shouldn't. That's not a flaw. That is a survival program from 3 million years ago that your body still cannot turn off. And if you know where it came from, you will never again think of your own hunger the same way. Your ancestors were no hunters 3 million years ago. They were nowhere near. They were scavengers. When a lion killed an animal on the African savanna, it ate first. Then the hyenas came and cleaned up most of the rest. All that was left was the thick leg bones when your ancestors arrived. Bones so thick no other animal could break them. And that's exactly what your ancestors ate. They would seize those bones, break them open with a sharp stone, and scoop out the gray, glistening fat within. That was their food. That was a banquet. But it didn't stop there. They ate the brains as well. A cracked skull held almost a pound of pure fat, and fat was the most precious thing a body could find. Insects also regularly made up part of their diet. Termites, grubs, fat, white worms. Not in desperation, as supper really is. This was not incidental, and this was life for more than 1 million years, generation after generation, day after day. And that's the part that should worry you. Still, your body remembers all of that. The obsession with fat, the need for rich food, the urge to eat everything you can get your hands on now. This is that recollection. Then something happened that changed the human body forever. Fire. Deep inside a South African cave is the oldest evidence of human fire ever discovered. It dates back to about 1 million years ago. When humans had fire, they had cooking, meat on the hot coals, roots in ashes, bones fell into the embers, and that one shift rewired it all. This is why it was so important. Raw food makes your gut work for hours to break it down. When you eat cooked food, it's already partially digested before it even reaches your body. Your stomach burns less calories from each and every bite and needs much less energy to do it. And where did all that saved energy go? It went right to the brain. Your brain is only 2% of your body weight, but it burns 20% of all the calories you eat. You can't run that machine on termites and raw leaves. You want food, rich and cooked and thick with fat. The brain you're using right now was literally built by cooking, and the brain grew, and everything else with it. Improved tools, smarter tactics, more food. The menu was on the verge of exploding into something far more interesting and far darker than anyone wants to admit. By 300,000 years ago, your ancestors were eating pretty much anything they got. Mammoth, bison, wild horse, fish, shellfish, roots, berries, nuts, mushrooms, eggs from nests. The diet had become much larger. But of all the things they ate, there was one thing that they absolutely went crazy for: honey. The Hadza tribe in Tanzania still live like humans before farming existed. Wild honey accounts for about 15% of their total calorie intake. They scramble up dangerous trees. They get stung hundreds of times, and they come back again, every single time, because nothing else in the wild packs that many calories in one bite. That hunger is still very much alive in you. Your brain doesn't know the difference between honey in a tree and a can of soda. They are the same signal to your body. Sugar means energy now, stored fat later. Your ancestors survived on stored fat alone when food was missing for weeks, so your brain reacts to sugar like it's the most important thing on earth. Modern food has broken this and made it a business. Soda, cereal, sauces, packaged snacks. If it comes in a wrapper, it is just sugar in a different outfit. Your body is still desperately hoarding fat for a famine that is not going to come. Your ancestors got obsessed with more than just sugar. Meat did something to the tribe that nothing else could do. A single kill of a mammoth would feed a whole group for weeks. One successful hunt meant nobody had to spend days digging roots or looking for berries. That time saved became something vastly more expensive. It's time to raise kids the right way. Time to pass on skills to the next generation. Time to make better tools, tell stories around the fire, and build something that actually lasts. Meat fed not only the body, it created civilization, and your body remembers that as well. The intense hunger for protein, the satisfaction of a filling meal, the fact that nothing else really hits the spot quite the same. It is not just a preference. That is hundreds of thousands of years of survival logic still running in the background. But here's where the story goes that most people aren't ready for. This is because your ancestors evolved one more craving. One that researchers had found evidence of in a cave in England. Proof nobody wanted to find out. Evidence that tells you something really uncomfortable about what humans are capable of when the rules are removed. Researchers have discovered human bones dating back roughly 14,700 years inside an English cave called Gough's cave. That seems, at first glance, unremarkable. Old bones in an ancient cave. But digging deeper, what they found turned the conversation about who we are as a species completely upside down. The skulls had been carefully scraped with stone implements. The faces had been taken off. The skull had been reduced to its top and fashioned into a cup. The long bones had been split open, just as your earliest ancestors had split open animal bones for the marrow, and the scientists figured it had to be starvation, that these people had no option. Then they searched the rest of the cavern. There were horse bones, deer bones, and other animals. There was plenty of food to eat. This wasn't just survival, it was a decision. A 2017 study estimated the number of calories a human body actually produces, about 125,000. A single bison gives 600,000, 3 million a Goliath. Humans were never a good food. And still it happened, not just in England, but all over Germany, France, Spain, and Croatia. Humans have been doing this to each other for hundreds of thousands of years in different parts of the world, not from starvation, out of something different altogether. There's one more craving your ancestors developed that no one talks about openly. Your ancestors could never eat an entire animal after a successful hunt. They buried the leftovers, hid meat in cold streams, put it away in dark caves. Days went by, sometimes weeks, sometimes some months. When they returned, the meat was teeming with bacteria, and it smelt like rot. They ate it all the same. Some researchers think they actually liked it that way. Part of the meat is rotting and decomposed. It is easier to chew, it is easier for the body to absorb, and the bacteria even make vitamins that your body really needs. Your body still prefers this, only in a form that is acceptable today. Control rot on all your fermented foods. Cheese, yogurt, sourdough bread, beer, wine, soy sauce, pickles. All of it is decay, slowed down and made safe. You didn't learn to love aged cheese in a European dairy. It evolved on a savanna, hundreds of thousands of years ago, eating something far worse than anything in your fridge. All of your fat, sugar, salt, rich food, fermented food were designed by a world that no longer exists, but your body doesn't know that world is gone. Here is the thing that should genuinely stop you for a moment. If you took a modern human and dropped them into the world of 50,000 years ago, they would probably be dead within days. You would not know how to find clean water. You would not recognize which plants are safe. You would not be strong enough to crack open a bone, climb a tree for honey, or run down an animal. You would be standing in a landscape full of food and slowly starving because you cannot see any of it. But if you took a human from 50,000 years ago and put them in your kitchen, they would think they had walked into something sacred. Cold, sweet liquid sealed in metal, bread that someone else made, fruit from places they never knew existed, food that required zero effort to obtain. They would not be able to process what they were looking at. For 3 million years, every single human who ever lived was cold, hungry, and exhausted most of the time. You are possibly the first generation in all of human history that is not. And your brain genuinely does not know what to do with that. It is still scanning, still craving, still preparing for a famine that is never going to come. And that same mismatch between the world your brain was built for and the world you actually live in quietly controls far more of your behavior than you realize. That is worth thinking about.